Ever read a manga so good you thought, why isn't this an anime yet? Well, today we're talking about 6 incredible manga that are begging for the anime treatment. These stories are too good to stay on paper, from epic samurai tales to mind-bending psychedelics. So grab your snacks and let's talk about what's missing. Most times, studios work really hard in bringing the cinema element to manga, but that's not the case with I'm a Hero. This manga is extremely bingeable. It was like a bloody movie. It feels really cinematographic. But if you were unlucky to have read rants calling the ending one of the worst, they're full of shit. Don't believe them, or at least judge by yourself. The manga even won the Eisner Award and has been hailed as one of the best zombie stories ever written. The MC, Hideo, is a passive protagonist. For most of the story, he's dragged from point to point by a third party. He's incapable of making decisions. Even if he didn't have plot armor, he would run away every damn time. He's insufferable. Some of the worst written stories I've read or watched have this kind of protagonist. But here, in this manga, it works. Because Kengo Hanazawa knew how to portray that kind of person in a realistic way. He even suffers from an unspecified mental condition. He's a lost cause, especially in Japanese society. Yet this man, a 35-year-old who shouldn't even have survived a zombie apocalypse, becomes, without even realizing it, the protagonist of his own life and a hero. Absolute cinema. So yeah, instead of releasing one zombie adaptation after another, with maybe a few of them hardly delivering, why not release something which has more than just zombies in it? And I would want Mappa on this one with Chainsaw Man levels of animation and art. Nothing else is acceptable. Imagine the tension of The Last of Us combined with the psychological depths of Parasite. That's what I'm a Hero could be. As some legend on Reddit once said about Fire Punch, it's Berserk except Guts is followed by Quentin Tarantino instead of Puck. And honestly, I love you, stranger. Written by Tatsuki Fujimoto, yup, the same genius behind Chainsaw Man, Fire Punch is a literal fire of a story. I'm a complicated Fujimoto stan. Not a fan of his ever-present culture of misogyny in anime and manga, but I can't deny that Tatsuki Fujimoto's one of the greatest mangaka I've ever read. And Fire Punch absolutely affirmed that. The story's set in a frozen post-apocalyptic world, where survival is a daily struggle. Some people are born with blessings. Now, Agni, our protagonist, and his sister Luna are both gifted with regeneration. Agni's village exploits his ability by having him chop off his limbs to use as food. But then a man with flames burns everything to the ground, and Agni's left constantly burning alive, unable to die due to his regeneration. What follows is a dark emotional journey of revenge, survival, and existential despair. I'm tempted to say Mappa can do justice here once again, but no. I want Studio Saru here. I mean, have you seen Devilman Crybaby? Don't even talk to me if you haven't. I know the art style doesn't directly translate, but the way emotional depth and tone are delivered, it's perfect for Fire Punch. They could deliver a 5-star fire meal that does Fujimoto's vision justice. Fire Punch is a story that demands to be animated. Let's make it happen. So for those who haven't heard of it, 20th Century Boys is an incredible manga by Naoki Urasawa, and it's a whopping 250 chapters long. Sure, you could call it a thriller, but like all the best stories, it's way more than that. It's got a sprinkle of sci-fi, a dash of supernatural, and even some slice-of-life vibes. The premise follows a guy named Kenji discovering a creepy conspiracy cult that's weirdly connected to a game he made as a kid with his friends. This cult, led by some mysterious dude called Friend, is behind all sorts of messed up stuff, like disappearances and even a deadly virus. The story isn't just about Kenji. It spans decades, literally from 1969 to 2018. And jumps all over the place with flashbacks, flash-forwards, and multiple perspectives. I want to see Madhouse do this one for sure. They've already proven they can handle Urasawa's work with Monster, and their ability to balance complex storytelling with emotional depth makes them a perfect fit. Plus, Urasawa does a phenomenal job at constantly bombarding the reader with plot points and questions, and at the same time answering previously hanging questions. Most complex anime leave a few threads loose, leaving fans to throw in theories to make up for the part. We hardly ever get a story that quenches our thirst for answers. But what's brilliant is that in 20th Century Boys, everything makes sense at the end. Even some minor plot points that the reader might have forgotten about are resolved perfectly. And yeah, while leaving things to mystery is kind of the essence of anime, we do deserve a satisfying one, right? This anime needs an adaptation ASAP. Next up is Vagabond. Let's get one thing straight. Vagabond's a masterpiece, and the fact that it hasn't been adapted into an anime yet is a crime against art. Written and illustrated by Takehiko Onu, the genius behind Slam Dunk and Real, Vagabond's a historical epic that redefines what manga can be. Inu's attention to detail and his ability to infuse every panel with raw emotions crazy. Like seriously, his art's so breathtakingly realistic and expressive that it feels like you're watching a movie rather than reading a manga. So why hasn't this been animated yet? The story follows Musashi Miyamoto, a hothead hard-headed, egotistical guy who sets out to become invincible under the heavens. But don't let the sword fights fool ya. This isn't just about clashing blades. It's a deep dive into self-discovery, philosophy, and what it means to be human. Every character Musashi meets is layered and complex, pushing him to face his flaws and grow along the way. Fans worldwide have hailed Vagabond as one of the greatest manga of all time. Yet the biggest downside is that it's unfinished. But here's the thing. An anime adaptation could not only bring this story to life, but also give fans a glimpse of the ending we never got. As for the studio, there's no single best studio for signing manga. I think this is true for a lot of signing manga. It's the reason we've never gotten a proper Berserk adaptation. But MAPPA feels like the perfect fit. Known for their work on Vinland Saga and Chainsaw Man, MAPPA has the talent and ambition to handle Vagabond's intricate art. Imagine Musashi's duels animated with the same intensity as Jujutsu Kaisen fights, or the quiet introspective moments rendered with the beauty of Attack on Titan's landscapes. Now that will be worth watching. So, do you like Squid Games? Well, how about Squid Games, but with more brain than brawn? And what if I told you there's a manga with a similar theme? Now that would look rad in an anime. The story follows Kanzaki Nao, a native college student who gets roped into the liar game tournament, a high-stakes competition where deception's the only way to win. She teams up with Akiyama Shinichi, a genius ex-convict and master manipulator. The manga explores themes of trust, greed, and links people will go to for survival, making it not just entertaining, but also deeply thought-provoking. Liar Game by Shinobu Kaitani is a psychological thriller that's a straight-up masterclass in storytelling. It's packed with mind games, moral dilemmas, and deep dives into human psychology, all wrapped up into one gripping narrative. Fans have called it one of the best psychological manga ever written, and it even got a live-action adaptation, and it scored the second highest viewer satisfaction rating in an Oricon survey. Proof that the story works. So why hasn't it been animated yet? It's simple. It needs to be. With psychological classics like Death Note and Monsters setting the bar sky high, Liar Game has what it takes to stand right alongside them. It's the kind of story that grabs you from the first chapter and doesn't let you go. It won't take much research to realize that Madhouse is the only choice. They're the legends behind Death Note, Monster, and Kaiji, psychological masterpieces that define the genre. Sure, Madhouse isn't the same as it was in the 2000s, but they still got the talent to bring Liar Game to life with the tension and sophistication it deserves. I want to end the list with something that's not seinen, psychological, or psychedelic. Let's talk about Super Psychic Policeman Chojo, a recent new manga that's been flying under the radar for way too long. The series is a wild mix of comedy, action, and supernatural shenanigans, and it's begging to be animated. The story follows Chojo, a psychic policeman with a heart of gold and brain that's, well, not exactly the sharpest. He's got insane psychic powers, but he's also hilariously clueless, which makes for some laugh-out-loud moments. Alongside his equally eccentric partner, Chojo tackles bizarre cases involving ghosts, demons, and all sorts of supernatural chaos. Think Ghostbusters meets The Office, but with a Japanese twist. This one's even recommended by Jujutsu Kaisen's creator, and ranked 6th in the print category at the 10th Next Manga Awards in 2024. Studio Trigger would be the perfect fit to bring this one to life. Known for their vibrant animation and ability to handle over-the-top chaotic stories like Kill la Kill, they bring Chojo's psychic antics to life in the most colorful, explosive way possible. It's the kind of series that balances comedy and action perfectly. And let's be real, we could always use more anime that don't take themselves too seriously. Now this one's for all my druggies. Please don't take this as me giving you the green flag to smoke away, but you might want to petition this manga to get an adaptation. Ultra Heaven by Kiichi Koke is a hidden gem written over 2 decades ago. The story is a response to the rediscovery of DMT in the early 2000s, a psychedelic compound known as the spirit molecule. It's something your brain naturally produces during REM sleep, and more importantly, right before death. It's all about transcending states of consciousness, like sleep and wakefulness. The protagonist, Kabu, stumbles onto this powerful drug and experiences life-altering shifts between different states of awareness. In this world, drugs are portrayed as instant gateways to altered consciousness, where emotions are literally at your fingertips. When drugs are legalized, it was supposed to be a leap forward for humanity, but addicts like Kabu got lost in the chaos. And man, the art, it's a straight 10 out of 10. The creator's style is so trippy and detailed, it feels like he must have snorted some himself before drawing this. If this ever gets animated, which it absolutely deserves to be, I want it to be an even crazier version of Devilman Crybaby. This has the potential to top the ranks for the best psychedelic anime in a while, and not to mention how relatable it can be at present times. Drugs are a massive problem in the modern age. This would be a call, a literal social commentary. Definitely voting for Madhouse in this one as well. Trust me, this manga is the ultimate high we all need, and I really need an anime trip on this one. And that's the end of our list, people. Which one has you the most hyped? Drop your picks in the comments, and if you got a manga you think deserves an adaptation, let me know.